Sign a prenup.
Sign a prenup. Casey's hot fire coming through. Hi. Be like, okay.
Like,
I want a hot take on this.
feminists across the world can hate me all they want.
Let's go.
I'm Casey, and I'm in a situationship.
Situation. What was it here?
To give him 2 kids. Like, I'd give him children.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because they don't have the Jack Frost.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I think.
Yo.
To be fair, let me preface that I watched this off of TikTok.
All right, pivoting totally.
What?
Okay.
Pivoting totally. Something that has been, popping off recently. I think, I don't know if it's in the past decade or past 5 years, whatever, but I feel like as the world's becoming increasingly global, increasingly globalized, there's a lot more interracial relationships, right? Relationships of different cultures. What do you guys think about it in general? Would you rather marry someone or be with someone that is within your own culture? Or would you rather date someone who is not? Or you don't mind either or? And to take it a step further, not just culture, but race. Because you can have someone who is the same race with a completely different culture. So I would like for us to break down both of those dynamics.
I can kick us off. I don't care. Like, I don't think it matters at all.
Where? Hey. Okay.
Interracial relationship right now. It doesn't make it any better or worse. Just in the fact that it's interracial. Like, it's just it is what it is. It's it's cool that I get to get introduced to a completely different culture. That's cool. But that doesn't make it better than I don't know, same culture, race relationships. It's just it's whatever. Whoever's in love with whoever.
I think I have a pretty strong positive take on this. Honestly, because I'm a very strong believer that being placed outside of your comfort zone or placed outside of your indigenous environment contributes to your growth exponentially.
Definitely.
I currently live in Flushing, Queens, and that's a predominantly Asian area. I'm one of probably a few African American males in that entire city. But then I've never looked at it as a way to put that against me or be I can't interact with the environment around here. I look at it every day as I get to try different foods, I get to meet different people, I'm to do all these different things, learn about a whole different culture and things. And then on top of going to middle schools and high schools where the kids were predominantly Caucasian or other backgrounds and things like that, you just come to be in an environment where you're always surrounded by new opportunities to learn about different cultures and things. And ultimately, I think that's important in a relationship too, because you don't want a relationship where I can see why same culture or same race or same race relationships happen, but I just don't think it's really additive to you to be dating someone who lived the exact same upbringing as you, because I don't really think your life kind of progresses or changes from that direction. I view a relationship as a way to really grow and build onto your life and add new things to you rather than just maintain your same status quo that you've been living for the past
Can I stop you there real quick? I think that yes, I agree with you. Interracial or same racial relationships, I do not care about that ethnicity, race, whatever. But I think that you're kind of saying you have to be in an interracial relationship to grow, where you can grow.
I think that's what he meant, but I heard that too.
So it's I think just for clarification, I know what you're saying, but you can also date someone of the same race, of the same culture, and still grow.
Get that?
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. No, but I know what you meant.
I think I just wanted to clarify. But then I also want to add on to this, the past few relationships I've been with have been interracial, but I will say there have been challenges in the past where they come from a very sheltered background and were unwilling to learn about my culture or understand how my upbringing as, my parents immigrated here and I'm the only person born in America, understand that background, and it made things very difficult to relate with. So I think, I'm supportive of either way. Go date whoever you want, doesn't matter, but it's definitely important to find a partner that if they come from a completely different background, that they're willing to try to understand or learn more about.
True. Big time.
But I think it also it depends. Let's say you are super religious and you want to raise your family to be the same as you, then it doesn't make sense to have an relationship just because of like they're not going to share the same values as you.
But what if they're willing to, convert or be open to making that change themselves?
Then that's
What if they're not?
I mean, if they're not, like when they're not,
religion.
okay. To add on to that, I mean, like, yeah, if they're not, then I mean, it's 100% to you what you're saying. But like, there's a lot of relationships that are progressive and like being open to that though. And I don't think you should like shut out other people of like different backgrounds or different religions or anything just because you might think that they might not contribute to that.
It's
You have
not
to
like
let
a
them
thing.
have
It's
that
like obviously
opportunity.
you're definitely gonna have the conversation. Like, are you or you not? Like that's different when you have the conversation.
Yeah.
Just saying. In
I'm just saying,
general,
like, shutting the
what-
door before you have that conversation.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, so so you're saying
I'm saying at least
I'm saying entertain talking to someone who's not of your same religion.
I'm saying at least
Is-
have that
at
conversation,
some
like
point.
saying like, hey, like I've raised to be like it's whatever faith, and like I'm very looking to have that type of faith continued in my relationship or anything like that. Are you okay with that? And if they say no, they don't want that, then that's okay. Break the ties there. But like at least you have that conversation. But like shutting out all these people and opportunities because you just might think that they might not be because they're not of the same background of you. That's just
No.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, let me interject here. Let's inject some more juice into this. Think about it a little more deeply, though. At a longer term level, if you're with someone that, even though despite like you're everything here is very nice and rosy, how we're describing it, like just talk about your differences. Okay, if they're open to learning more about it, but there's like some cultures are pretty strong. Like there's some stuff, there's some religions that are pretty strong, and things and values that. It's honestly, I promise you, it's very difficult, especially so let's take myself for example. I'm Nigerian. Nigerian culture is very strong.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of expectations from my parents as a Nigerian for not just me, but my spouse, right? Mm-hmm. My wife is not Nigerian. And so like, there's a lot of things that I have to deal with between bridging those two things. So obviously it's been amazing, it's been fruitful, but it's definitely easier said than done. So I wanted to ask something even further on this topic. So let's say, for example, it sounds all kind of nice and fluffy, right? Like, being with someone who's not like you, it's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for you to expand your thought. And you can, as long as you're open to like, the other person's culture, then it should be fine. Mm-hmm. What people are forgetting though is that some cultures are very strong. Some traditions are very strong. Some lines of thinking are deeper than just like the one experience that we're having with you right now talking about it. Like there's stuff that was ingrained to me as a child, being like a Nigerian kid, for example, that I just don't expect other people to get no matter what. Like no relationship.
Is your question just about the relationship, or is it also like if they have kids? I feel like the kids dynamic adds so much to it. Do we want to just keep it at the higher level, just like relationship?
There's some people watching this show right now who don't have kids. There's some people who are watching who have kids. So we should talk to both.
Okay.
If kids are a factor, if they're a major reason why this would be a problem, we should talk about that.
I'm going to add it in as like from the kids aspect of it because I grew up in the South. Mm-hmm. So that was very fundamentally part of like terrible, obviously, but like it was like my grandparents were alive through it all. Mm-hmm. And I was in an interracial relationship and I got comments left and right from family about just anything and everything that they could think of that would cause us problems in the future. Like I was in high school, like, this was like my second boyfriend ever. Like I didn't know anything. And I feel like we're not far enough past the gap to where like grandparents won't like they'll still insert themselves 100%, even if they have no right, they will insert themselves.
So family is an aspect.
Family is a very hard aspect to get around because like even coming from like my dad's super Catholic, he would love for me to get married to a super Catholic individual, and it's just like that's not my personal religion choosing. So like there's that divide between me and him, and then so, like, I'm open to dating anyone. Like, you never know who you're going to fall in love with. Like, it just happens. Right, but it is hard to go about parents and grandparents and family that like to insert themselves and make comments based on how we used to be.
How did you navigate that, by the way?
It was really hard. It kind of got to the point where me and him had to sit down with family and just kind of be like, this is where we're at. It was, I mean, granted.
For high school.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So we dated for like 6 months, but like it was so aggressive in the first 2 months that like me and him had to sit down with family and be like, look, like for right now, we are happy, and like you're gonna have to respect that for now and let us figure it out on our own.
You probably did that in high school.
Now, the question is, do you guys, you have real relatable experience on what we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Would you have married this person in the long run and like dealt with this for the rest of your life?
Well, he's difficult, so like not him specifically.
But does that have anything to do with his culture?
It had nothing to do with that. Yeah, no. It had nothing to do with his race or even his like own religion was completely different than mine. But
that had nothing to do with it. Like, he just ended up being a terrible person. But no, I would have played. No, you know, like, I mean, after that conversation, my family was a lot more respectful towards it. They probably were like, she's 16, this won't last anyways.
Yeah.
But they were a lot more respectful towards it. It's a hard conversation to have.
I think it comes down to like in an interracial relationship, like, yeah, people are going to be understanding stuff, but there are going to be a lot of times where they're just not going to get it and understand. If that's okay with you, then like that's fine, but if it's not, then you have to like rethink your decisions.
Well, wait, sorry. So, to Tate's point, can you like, so, but it's a lot more complex than, some people are just gonna have their feedback and like you just move past it. So it's a lot, and then even when kids are in play too, like there's some
Kids
people
are the hardest part.
There are some people who, because their family got to an interracial relationship and they have kids, like they don't speak. They don't have a good relationship with the grandkids because it's like, oh, well, why are you dating that person of a different race? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's more like complex and just like meet the eye. Like the fact that she had to sit down with her family and like
explain,
and like in high school and for a high school relationship, just so her parents.
We didn't even make it to prom.
I've had many conversations.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huge milestone to hit.
I've had like tons of conversations with my family about this.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Yeah. So like, by the way, so what you're about to explain on is like, you know, we had a question in the audience where people think it's a little more complex than how it's being made to be, or how it's being made to seem. Like that conversation with your parents and your family could not have been very easy.
No.
Especially in a time where like social media and like, you know, this is a very sensitive topic. You know what I'm saying? BLM, but a lot of things are happening that are very racially charged, and it can be quite difficult, right? From a familial perspective, from a personal perspective, from a kid's perspective, what you want to teach your kid, right? Like, I have values from Nigeria. I want to teach my kid that someone that's from Nigeria may not really understand, right? And so, like, what is that dynamic? How does that really play? At the end of the day, what I think I'm truly really trying to boil down to is it worth it to be with someone of a different culture or race? And how, if it is, how do you make that work so that you guys can be happy as a next couple? You know what I mean? Because there are people here who are listening who are in this situation, and it's like, is it worth it for me right now to continue on this path?
I think it's always worth it.
100%.
Yeah,
if you're in love, like, are you kidding me? You're gonna like negate what you feel because of like some like underlying difference. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Right.
The thing is, like, love is not the only thing you need in a relationship.
no, you need the foundations. You need
Wait, you might have said something with that.
No, if my mom says it all the time.
Oh, she might have said something with that. Expand on that, please. We need that.
No, but it's like for a relationship to work, love is not the only thing that's going to be there. Sometimes for a lot of people, it's not even the main thing. Like my parents were not in love before they got married. Like, they completely love each other now, and I can say that with like certainty. But like, they felt not saying that's the path where I want to go down.
Wait, Mom, I don't want to. I just.
Huge disclaimer. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna
If it's not just love, what else is needed in a relationship that can complicate it beyond just the fact that you need to love someone?
Trust.
Trust, okay, period.
On trust. Like, you might love somebody with your whole heart, you just don't trust them.
Okay.
I think stability is a huge factor too, because like
What was that?
I think stability,
Stability.
because marriage versus a relationship is different. You know, a relationship, a lot of people are going through different things. They're in a very growth stage in their lives, but like marriage, are kind of celebrating to, you know, develop people kind of coming together and building something together. I think stability from both sides, you know, all around is
Stability, like security. And
I think compatibility, but not compatibility in terms of you have to be the exact same type of person. Like, sometimes you can be like opposites and still be compatible. Like, I've seen relationships, opposites attract. Yeah, like, completely. But I've seen relationships where they're just like completely not compatible, and it like hasn't worked.
So do you think that culture and tradition, or the tradition and where they come from, their background, has to do with that compatibility perspective?
I think it depends on the person.
very little, I would say. Like, it has to be like a tiny proportion of like the compatibility we're talking about. Like, like how much does like a race and culture really change about a person to where like you can't even like be in a relationship with them anymore? Like, that's like.
But are you just saying that because you weren't you were not raised in like a.
No, I'm just saying that because like I feel like it doesn't like for me.
I don't want to say it. Well, she was saying like more so like because like maybe
Taylor's
they
like,
have
how
this
about not
perspective
cancel
because
right
maybe
now?
you come from a background where like the tradition is super strong, where this culture is
What
really
you guys
strong.
said.
So probably is factoring into it. It's the fact that like I come from a background where like they don't care who I bring.
But you're in a
home, they don't
relationship
care.
right now with someone who may have come from a culturally strong.
Right. But she's saying like I'm influenced by the fact that like my parents wouldn't give a like they wouldn't
No,
care.
but I was saying you're with someone right now whose parents may care. How is that impacting you? How are you? Is it everything amenable for you? You did people who are not just your race before. How's that happening?
I mean,
Or how's that gone for you?
it's fine. Like I feel like at the end of the day, like her parents don't really have a say on how we feel about each other. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like maybe I'm like long term about, but like we've talked about this. Like it's not like she can't like marry like a white person. Like there's no like real boundaries or like constraints there. It's just like differences. And so like for me, I don't really care. Like I'm fine with like a bunch of differences. Like I'm fine with like understanding like that she's a different person, I'm a different person. And like the real question comes in for me, like, and I think I mentioned it before, it's like about kids. Like when you have kids, like how do you decide, like how do you like educate a kid about spirituality without like a certain direction? Like that's so hard. Like
Personally, I think it's okay, like when you're a kid, like to raise a kid like in the like traditions that you were raised or in like the religion that you were raised, and like have them make, obviously when they get older they can make the decisions.
But what if you're different?
I think if you're different,
like what if you're different?
he's
They're not the same.
I think it's important to sit down with your kid and say, listen, you know.
But you're not gonna
You're-
at like a young age. They won't understand that.
Okay, obviously not, but
So
I don't
tough.
think. I think.
That's
I
such a
think.
tough
I think.
thing.
I think
Such a
it should
tough
be at like an age where they're able to comprehend it a little bit
Yeah,
better.
but what about before that? Like, what are you gonna do? Because
Then
Sunday
I-
go to church.
then
you're
I think you
Christian,
should
and
probably-
Saturday go to Sabbath
I mean,
because you're Jewish.
Obviously, I'm not in the position
Right?
to be like saying how people should be raised. I'm like 24, but like I would ideally, I think what would happen is like, you know, you probably would raise them in the most neutral, plain environment, and then when they're old enough to have a conversation and understand it, you say, hey, like, you know, your mother was raised XYZ under a certain faith like this. I was raised this way. Explain them, see the differences, and just say, hey, but you're open to, you know, explore what you feel like.
I 100% agree. I think that's so hard.
I think it's
so
hard, but
hard.
that's what I'm just hypothetically spitballing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's just like an easy way, like that's like such an easy way to put it. Be like, hey, like, okay, these are
Of
like
course,
two
yeah.
religions. Like you can pick one. Which one do you want?
No, I mean,
But how do you not like,
Well,
load that
but-
explanation?
but
Like when
the
you're
whole point-
explaining what one religion is and the
explain
other
so
religion, like
much,
how
but
do you not like?
Like if you raise them without like anything for like as many years, and then here like, oh, here's two religions pick, they just like honestly doesn't make not any sense.
Obviously, what I'm saying is very idealistic
Okay,
because
well,
like I don't really know, but like yeah.
Great theory.
Stepping like to that, like when you're in before the kids, right? You have two different religions. How are you guys being like? How are you guys making that work? Think about it that way, and then raise your kid with that same.
Can I tell
I
you
think
what
it's
usually
so
I see happen? What
fundamentally
usually
different.
happens is that like either the kid, for most of their lives, they don't like pick any religion, and you know that's what happens. They're not religious at all, or they're leaning towards one religion. I haven't seen any where like you're connected to both.
Yeah.
I've never. Most of the time, I've
Yeah,
seen that you're not
it's
connected to any.
very hard,
Actually,
like-
unless
You
one
can't.
parent is religious, like more religious. I haven't seen majority that like they even picked one. And usually, it's like they go without in the direction of like them.
Well, I mean, it's literally like it's not even possible to like be from two religions.
No.
It's-
Yeah,
each
yeah.
religion is
Yeah.
so different, and like
Yeah.
the belief systems.
You know
are
what seems even
fundamentally
harder to
different.
me?
What?
Atheist versus like strong religious.
I know what I'm saying.
Like,
Yeah.
like how do you
It would never
explain to your
happen.
kid the two differences in
But I
beliefs?
also don't think
like,
that like
that's
if you're like someone super like religious and then you're an atheist, I don't think
I don't think
that
that would
relationship would even
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
I'm literally
Yeah.
like it's fine.
I think you're
there's a
going to-
lot more than that matters than like what your spiritual beliefs are. Like you can be like super in love with someone and just like one of you believes there's God, one of you but doesn't, and like I don't understand.
Well, I
get
you
where you're
can have a
coming from,
relationship,
but
but it's like, what are you
personally,
gonna teach that kid though?
yeah.
That's what
you
I'm
gonna
saying.
teach
Like
your
the
kid?
complication comes with the kid, but before the
Yeah.
kid, like you're just different and you're fine with that, and you like celebrate your
I mean-
differences. Like you like the fact that like this person has like a completely different upbringing, like they have a different perspective than you do.
Yeah.
Like it's just hard when like
Okay.
you're supposed to prescribe that onto a child. Like how are you supposed to like explain
that's my
something
question.
neutrally?
What are you
So
talking
that's the
about
hard.
that?
I have no idea.
I mean-
That's my question
I mean,
too.
I don't know.
personal
I think.
experience, from personal experience, my dad is not religious, and really, in a way, he kind of hates religion. My mother is pretty religious, so as a kid, I just grew up going to church with my mom, and when I became of age to decide what I wanted to do, I just stopped going. But it was still, it's not like they're pushing their belief onto me or whatever. I mean, this is a whole different topic, but it's like my dad just was like, okay, this is important to my wife, so just let her do it. Like he didn't want his kid not to believe in a God. That was just his own personal belief.
Yeah.
And then my mom taking me to church was just giving me an option or a gateway to learn more about her religion. But at the end of the day, she didn't force it on me.
That sounds like a good balance. I just think that's so hard to find.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, not pitting it against each other and be like, well, I believe more than you do, but like, in a way, like if one person, like their beliefs matters, like to the core of their being more than the other person that they're with, like that it would probably go in that
That's
direction.
a sacrifice I think that probably should happen on a person.
I feel like that's like kind of how
I
that in my head is what I meant.
I think to support Tay's point earlier, like I wouldn't like not command you access, but I don't think someone who's like so far like a strong opinion as like an atheist perspective would really mesh or work with someone who's like so devoted to a faith in any perspective, because I just fundamentally don't think that'll really work out, especially for the person who's strong in that faith.
What's the boundary? Like, what makes it like not work? Like, just like, is it just the fact that they like fundamentally don't believe the same thing about like the universe and its creation? Like, what is it that like stops them from being able to like have a really good relationship?
I mean, I think it really depends on the degree of like how faithful that person is, but usually someone who is very strong or very ingrained in their faith growing up,
sure,
they don't like to like, this is what I've seen from like people like my family, like older people, like they don't really like to associate with people who are so strongly against that belief, like to a point where they're just like not even just saying like they're not like Christian, for example, but like saying like they just don't believe in anything, like they just would not socialize with that. It just doesn't like contribute to that.
Well, like I think
for me, I guess I wouldn't go to the extent of like associating with someone who like is the complete opposite. Like I would not have an issue with it, but when it comes to like a relationship and someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, like that is religion is a very important aspect of your life, especially if you are religious. And like just like let's say like if you are atheist, like
whoa now you got too much dip on your chip, huh?
Not like it's not like rude, but it's like you wouldn't understand because you're not religious.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Not like works for like race differences as well.
And you would understand the extent of someone who's religious, like how much that like impacts them and how much it has effect on their lives every single day.
And I think this goes beyond religion. Like this could be politics or your diet or hobbies. Like this, I mean, you could, for me, like if I am
you're talking about like deeply ingrained differences.
Yes. So like this could apply to so many different topics, like not just religion. And so then how do you approach like the political issue? This is a whole nother thing, and I don't want to bring that up.
No, this is exactly how it is.
This is content.
Like, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to boil down to what the major insight is from this, but I do have one hot take about it though. I do think that religion is probably one of the hardest things when it comes to this particular differences. I would say that religion is probably one of the I don't know off my mind right now what maybe be something else that could probably match it. But I think it's because when you just talk about deeply ingrained differences, it's not just deeply ingrained. It's also like how much the difference control your belief system and your life and your mind, your thought process. Like for me, I'm religious, I'm Christian. Like my whole world, even what we're doing right now, everything in my whole lens of scope is through the eyes of God, and like it's through Christianity.
But like, if you take the fundamental like principles of Christianity, like those are held by most people. Like all those like I'm guessing you're talking about like your morality is like very much derived from Christianity. How could you like get along with someone whose morality is like more than just morality, but
purpose in life is deemed from those set of instructions.
So like if it's derived from Christianity, like I see what you're saying. Like if someone's deriving those from other places, they're gonna like how can you possibly get along? I think like the things that are derived from like Christianity about like morality and like all that stuff, like real like judgments and like principles, like those are pretty universal. Well, like be nice to your neighbor, don't murder people, like don't like don't cheat.
The Ten Commandments, yes, the Ten Commandments is universal, but I think the book itself is definitely a little bit more complex.
I was like, let's
I think we should. I can't talk about that.
I think
no. I want this hot take.
Low-key, I feel like you low-key like dwindle the funnels of like religion.
No, but I get it because as someone who's not religious, like
right? It's no, you have to have that. But these kind of conversations
that's kind of crazy,
right? If you're not Christian and if you're not from a certain religion, you will see it in that lens. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. Like what you just said to me makes a lot of sense, right? Like a Christian who is.
Like the differences aren't so deeply ingrained is what I'm trying to say. It's like the differences aren't so deeply ingrained through religion that like it makes you incompatible. Like I think like I'm compatible with like virtually like all religions. Like I don't know. Like I feel like I could like
that's why I would say you're probably a little wrong. I would say
I-
Christianity is a little bit more. The principles I
Yeah.
would say probably tie in with general ethics and morality.
All the
a little
religions
bit more,
have the
but
same
there are
principles,
definitely
Tom.
religions on this earth that have some.
They
like,
all think the
that have
same thing.
specific instructions that the
I'm
average
back,
person
we're back,
today would probably.
but-
like, this.
It's
but
like
okay,
nuances,
respect those
but
differences and like how does that not work?
No, but it's different. It's not just about respect. Like some of these instructions in some religions are like, oh, sorry, Today, you go ahead. And let me just explain. Some of these differences are like so strong that like they clash with modern day society thinking,
Like what?
like political correctness, like things that are people would deem as unethical or like immoral or like inappropriate that other religions may like demand of that person, right? So it's like my point is that if that thing is able to control your whole belief system and its self-existence, it may clash in a very considerable way. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, you can also I was trying to give an example.
Mhm.
There are people who 100% believe if they're in a tough situation, they will stand by the thought God will get me through this, or whoever will get me through this situation. I have trust in him. He will make it work. But a person who doesn't have that core religion, who thinks the same way, they would be we need a solution. What do you mean you're
This
just
is
going
very
to
key,
wait
yeah.
till it fixes
This is
itself?
very-
It's
This is a very
yeah,
practical
causes a
example.
problem.
That's
A lot of
true.
Christians actually
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah.
very
That's
practical.
hard.
No, do you know how many times my girl was like, oh, don't worry, God, it'll be okay. It's in God's hands.
Yeah.
And it's
My
for someone
family's
that
been
doesn't
like
believe that could be what the it's what do you mean?
You'll be like,
We
look,
have
it's like you're
what?
lazy,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're doing, you're just gonna let us
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's
but to
hard
me-
to cover that gap.
I've had experiences where if by simply waiting and praying to God, things have worked out for me.
Exactly.
Right? I've been able to achieve what I wanted to. And somebody else may be in a situation where I need to hustle bustle get all this
Yeah.
done. And that conflict of thought may also cause a lot of
In a
aggravation.
marriage,
For
I
sure.
could see that causing so much strain because
100%.
say for example, I'm super type A. So if a problem arises, I need that solved
Yeah.
immediately if possible.
Mm.
So if somebody looked at me and they were like, "Don't worry, it'll work out." I would just I'm religious, but I still would be like, "What do you mean? I
think
need a
this
solution
convers-
now."
Yeah.
That could cause such problems.
I think this conversation is so divorced from religion and race. Is we're just talking about really deep differences that you can't get by.
Yeah.
That's really what we're
But
talking
what I'm
about.
trying to say is that there's a degree.
And
I think
you're saying
there's a degree.
basically I'm underestimating how much religion.
That's
can
what
be,
I'm saying.
a deep
I think
difference.
there's
that's
certain
where the
Religion,
yeah.
I would say also race
I'm
and
under-
culture is probably
yeah.
a big one too. I would definitely say cultural background, beliefs that are passed down from family history as well. I think those are all things that basically they could control your general belief system.
Mhm.
Like what you fundamentally believe as a person. I feel are the things that can make a relationship maybe not worth going into.
I hope everyone kind of figures these fundamental differences out before they get married.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the
That's just a checklist.
This is just before I figure out.
Before I put the knob, I don't know. Let's just ask these questions real quick. I'll put in the prenup. That's crazy.
Our kid is here about.
Our kid is-
Hey, if he turns out black.
Yo.